All right, Dave here with a tutorial about modeling a character in Blender. So when we open up Blender, this is what it looks like. Just for navigation purposes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to middle mouse click, so that would be like the wheel on the mouse to be able to move like this. I can also scroll with the wheel to zoom in. If I hold down Shift and middle mouse, I can go like this, and Shift. If I do Shift and right click, you can see it moves what's called the 3D cursor. I won't be talking about that much in this course, but I feel like if I want to get that 3D cursor back to the center, I can do Shift S, and then I can say cursor to world origin, and there it is. Okay. Now, if I didn't want to see that, what I could do is I could come up here and I can say 3D cursor and turn it off. Okay. This is also my camera to render from. I'm not really going to be concerned about that either. I could just select this and hit delete. And if I hit delete, I might have to hit it on either the number pad or I can't do backspace. I have to hit just the delete key. Otherwise, I could come in here and I could turn off the camera visibility. All right. Now, a few other things. As far as the interface is concerned, I can go over here, and if I want to see what these are called, I can click on the side here, and I can pull this out like this. I can pull it out like that, or I can pull it out like that, and you can see that I can see the name of them. Okay. I also have different tabs up here. The Layout tab, I have a Modeling tab, Sculpting tab, UV Editing, all the way down to Scripting. And if I clicked on this, you can see that I can even create some additional tabs as well. What's neat about the tabs is that it gives you the tools that you need for that particular task. I'll go back to Layout. And if I want to switch between what's called Object Mode and Editing Mode, I'm going to hit the Tab key. And when I hit Tab, I can see that I'm in Object Mode, and I can see that right here. And if I switch down, I can go into Edit Mode right there. Okay. When I'm in Editing Mode, I can adjust or alter the object. In other words, I can add geometry to it. I can do splits. I can do extrusions, that type of thing. When I'm in Object Mode, I can just move the shape or just scale the shape or rotate the shape. It's more like it's considered complete at that point, and I can do just simple tasks. If I want to add a new shape to the scene, I'm going to do Shift A. Shift A, I can see that the menu comes up and I can add different primitives in the scene, and you can see I can also add things like text and curves, even cameras, lights, and that kind of thing. Now, be careful because the shortcut for that is Shift A, but if I'm in Edit Mode, so if I press Tab, and now if I do Shift A, I can see I get a similar menu, but it's not quite the same, okay? And this would actually add to the shape in kind of a weird way, so I feel like I'm not going to be concerned about the differences right now, but what I want you to be concerned with is that you have to be aware of what mode you're in when you're doing a shortcut, because shortcuts will only work in certain modes, okay, that make sense for it. That'll make more sense as we get going. Over here, this is going to be your area where there's things like modifiers, and you can see there's a whole list of different things that can be done to your object to alter it. We're not going to really focus on a lot of modifiers other than maybe something like the mirror modifier. But here we can see like our render settings, our output render settings. This is going to be like the quality of how good the render is. This is going to be how good the output is. And you can see just a few things here. I don't want you to get overwhelmed, but you can kind of see that how this is set up right now. And depending on what mode I'm in, again, that might kind of change what I'm able to see over here. Also, I recommend keeping these in the same order, but if you wanted to change the order, you could grab that and you can see how you can change the order of these things. Okay. Up here, this is going to be this is your outliner, this is where everything is in the scene. And the other thing too is that this is a very customizable layout. So if I go to the upper right hand corner of any of these menus, I can see that the menu kind of starts to curve. And if I hover over it, I get this plus sign. Now, once I have that plus sign, I can click and drag over, and you can see that I can split it in half like that. Okay. Now you might say, well, what's the point of having two of the same view? Well, if I go here, I could switch this view to be something else. Okay, maybe like the UV editor or something like that. If I want it back to the 3D viewport, I can go here. But let's say if I wanted to grab the corner, so I'm going to go up to this area right here, get the plus, and drag down, I can split it like that. Now if I wanted to change my layout and get back, I could go here, and if I drag up, I can see that there's an arrow that appears, and that's going to collapse it to this way. So there we go. And now I can grab this one, and it's going to collapse it that way. Okay, so you can see that on these up here, they have predetermined splits, basically giving you things that they think that you would need for that type of scenario. But you could create these yourself, and you could save your layout as well. So the other thing too is up here, this would be X-ray mode, so I can kind of see through my object. And then I also have wireframe, shaded, texture, and render view. Okay, more about that later on. Down here I have the play controls for animation. And so that basically is just kind of a brief overview of the interface of just kind of navigationally how we're going to be able to move around, things like that. In the next lesson, we'll go ahead and just kind of get started with our character.